Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful week. Like always, I'm continuing with my Celine Dion discography journey, and we made it to the year 1997 when she released her fifth English-speaking album called Let's Talk About Love. Now, Let's Talk About Love, let me just say, is one of the biggest selling albums of all time. It is in the top 20 of biggest selling albums of all time, having sold more than 30 million copies, just like her prior album, Falling Into You. I mean, back to back best selling albums of all time. Iconic. Now, Let's Talk About Love is a pretty big deal when it comes to collaborations. She collaborated with Barbara Streisand, the Bee Gees, Carole King. Now, the album topped the record charts around the world, including the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, France, and Australia. It became one of the best-selling albums of 1997 and 1998 in various countries, and also became one of the top-selling albums of the 90s. It was also certified diamond, multi-platinum, platinum, and gold around the world, and there were 8 singles released from the album. And continuing on with the accolades, Let's Talk About Love and its songs won many awards around the world. My Heart Will Go On won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and Best Song Written specifically for a motion picture or for television. I could keep going on and on about the accolades of this album, but honestly, let's just get into the album. There are 16 tracks. The album itself is 1 hour and 14 minutes. And the only song I recall hearing off this album is track number 12, My Heart Will Go On. All the other tracks don't look familiar to me, but like always, if I start listening to a song that sounds familiar, I'll let you guys know. So enough talking, let's get into the first song. Track number 1, The Reason.
I figured it out. You are the reason I wake up every day. I want to flow you. I'm giving it up. Sleep at night. You are the
Alrighty, that was track number 1, The Reason. Yes! I really enjoyed that track. I will be honest though, the first couple minutes, I really didn't know what to make of it. Just like so many other Celine Dion songs, there are quite a few songs that she's done in the past that really do have to grow on me. I don't initially like them the first couple minutes, but then by the end, I really enjoyed liking it. It was also a great way to open the album, and the song was written by Carole King. She was one of the co-writers. I've never listened to a Carole King album before, but I really want to listen to her album Tapestry, which is regarded as one of the best albums of all time. So one day, maybe next year, I do have plans to listen to some Carole King albums in the future. And it says here that Carole King wrote the song for the band Aerosmith initially, which is very interesting. So overall, I really enjoyed the song, and I definitely would go back to it. So let's move on to track number 2, Immortality, featuring the Bee Gees.
So this is who I am. And I will stand for my dream if I can. Immortality. I make my journey through eternity. With all my love for you. Goodbye.
Alrighty, that was track number 2, Immortality, featuring the Bee Gees, which was the 6th single off the album, and I really enjoyed myself. There's something very sophisticated and classy about this album so far, and we're only 2 tracks in. It does say here that the song was written by the Bee Gees, and of course they did the backing vocals as well. I mean, so far, we're only 2 tracks in, and she's had some amazing co-writers on these songs. The Bee Gees and Carole King. I mean, enough said. I will also say I haven't listened to a Bee Gees album ever in my life, so that's another discography journey I want to go on. There's so many albums I want to listen to, and not enough time. I will also say that I've really enjoyed the lyrics of these songs so far. They're not your stereotypical Celine Dion lyrics that we've heard many times before on her other albums. They're just really beautiful and a little refreshing in my opinion. So now we're gonna move on to track number 3, Treat Her Like a Lady. Ooh. Oh my god, fuck me. Yes, track number 3, Treat Her Like a Lady. What was that? I was not expecting whatever this song was. I mean, I'm here for it. I was living for this song. The production and what she was doing with her voice, just the sassiness, and the lyrics. The lyrics are quite badass for a Celine Dion song. I mean, wow. She's singing about what goes around comes around. All the girl could want was a little attention, but all the boy wants is to hit and run off. He and his friends, they sit and they laugh, going around talking about the girls they used in the past. I do have a feeling that this song probably wasn't a single. And, okay, well, it was the 8th single off the album. The word I was looking for when it came to describing the song was reggae. Yes, reggae. That was the word I was looking for. And this is a very un-Celine Dion song, but at the same time, it's so refreshing and new and different. And that's why I like it. It says here that the song was written and recorded by Jamaican reggae singer Diana King in 1995 for her album Tougher Than Love. I've never heard of her before. I might have to actually check her out. And it says here that an editor from Entertainment Weekly said, an over-arranged stab at reggae dancehall and unintentionally amusing. I mean, it was a little amusing. I won't lie, I mean, you saw it on my face. Another person wrote, she's fallen on her face before when attempting to be as one with the rhythm, but Celine Dion has never humiliated herself as comprehensively as she does when mashing it up in a dance hall style on Treat Her Like a Lady. I mean, I thought it was fun. It was fun. I mean, this isn't a Celine Dion song I would listen to again. I would occasionally. It was very different, and that's why I liked it, because it's not something we typically hear from Celine Dion. So it was something new. She tried something different, and I enjoyed it. Would I want to listen to a Celine Dion reggae album? Probably not, but this was nice to listen to for the first time. I had a lot of fun. I am curious to know what other surprises there are going to be on this album. So now let's move on to track number 4, Why Oh Why.
Don't you know that you're my reason? Tell me why when I looked in your eyes, it's so hard to say goodbye. How can you tell me
Alrighty, and that was track number 4, Why Oh Why, and I did enjoy this song. I'm really liking the production on this album so far. I like how they're not just regurgitating what they did on Falling Into You. This is a different sounding album. It's a different energy and feel, and I'm living for it. I'm here for it, and I really like the lyrics as well, even though they are quite heartbreaking. Tell me why, when I looked in your eyes, I felt my heart start to cry. And then she goes on to say, I felt the trust start to die. Why, oh, why? When I still love you, it's so hard to say goodbye. What I also like about the song is towards the end, she's kind of panting when she is singing Why, oh, why? She's like, I tried to mimic her, but obviously I failed. But you know what I mean. I really like that part too. This probably wouldn't be a Celine Dion song I would listen to all the time. I don't know, maybe I have to listen to it a couple more times. Perhaps it will grow on me, but I don't really see myself going back to this song all the time. So now let's move on to track number 5, Love Is On The Way.
My heart has got to learn to forget. Love is on the way. Wings of angels, I know it's true. In my heart, love is on the way. Oh, it's true. I feel it coming soon.
Already, that was track number 5, Love Is On The Way. And this was another song where I was listening to the first couple minutes. I didn't really know what to make of it. But then towards the end, I ended up loving the song. And it's a very powerful song. Once again, it does sound quite sophisticated and grown up and mature. And I love the choir. And it's Celine Dion, and so far we're 5 tracks in, and I feel like this is a solid Celine Dion album. This album so far is a little sad, especially tracks number 4 and 5, Why Oh Why and Love Is On The Way. She's singing about a past lover and how she doesn't see the love in their eyes anymore. And she's saying in this song, time is turning the pages. I don't know when, but love will find me again. Which I'm curious as to why she's singing about these themes, because she is married, I believe, at this time in 1997 to her husband, Renee. It does say that they married in 1994, so I don't know, it's just very odd that she's singing about these themes. I always thought she was happy in her marriage with Renee. I know when he died, it really did affect her quite a bit. So, I don't know, maybe you guys watching this video right now, maybe you know more about her marriage to Renee and the history. What was it like? Or maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe these are just songs she wanted to sing. She also says at the beginning of the song, waking up alone in a room that still reminds me, my heart has got to learn to forget, starting on my own. I am curious to know if this was a single off the album. And it wasn't. That's a little sad. I really did enjoy the song. I will also say that there is one song in particular that keeps popping up on her singles released lists from her last couple albums, and that's the track To Love You More, which I have heard already. To Love You More is one of my favorite Celine Dion songs ever. And I do plan on listening to the song in one of these videos. I think I'm going to save it for her All the Way, A Decade of Song album, which I will be listening to after her Christmas album. These are special times. I think that's the title of it. But I will be listening to her first Greatest Hits album after her Christmas album because there are new songs on that album that I haven't heard yet. It does say here that To Love You More appeared as a song on her The Color of My Love album and Falling Into You, and now let's talk about love. But every time I listen to one of those albums, the song doesn't come up, so I imagine it was a deluxe song or a bonus song. I don't know, it's not appearing on these albums when I listen to them, so I will say the song for her greatest hits album. So now let's move on to track number 6, Tell Him. Now, I'm really excited to listen to this song because it is a duet with Barbara Streisand.
So afraid to show a care, with my heart out in my hand. Tell him that the sun and moon rise in his eyes. That will be the gift you give yourself. Tell him that the sun and moon rise in his eyes. Never let him go.
Already, that was track number 6, Tell Him with Barbara Streisand. And this was a very classic and traditional sounding Celine Dion song. This song honestly could have been on any one of her other albums, and it's great. It's the most traditional Celine Dion sounding song on the album so far, in my opinion. And Barbara Streisand, I mean, what is there to say? If God was a woman, she would sound like Barbara Streisand. Let's be real here. I've never listened to a Barbara Streisand album. I really do want to. And it's great. It's magic. And they sound wonderful together. And I honestly don't have much to say about this song other than it was just very beautiful. And I enjoyed the lyrics. And I'm just gushing over this song. Now, it does say here that Tell Him was the lead single off the album. It also says that Barbara Streisand is Celine Dion's most prominent idol, and she always wanted to sing with her, but feared getting too close to her idol, explaining, "It takes practically nothing to destroy your image of them, and just as little to crush you." You really can't go wrong with the song. It's Celine Dion, it's Barbara Streisand, it's a love song written by David Foster. They all just go hand in hand. So now let's move on to track number 7, and I hope I don't butcher the pronunciation of this title. Amar Haciendo el Amor. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but anyway, let's get into it.
Solo en mi silencio, andaba en la ciudad. El miedo de entregarme con tu piel se me borró y en mi corazón se despertaba el amor con esta loca pasión. Cielo confesó, amantes que el destino. La primavera, amar haciendo el amor. Como despierta una flor.
Alrighty, that was track number 7, Amar Haciendo el Amor, and I did enjoy the song. I love Spanish music. I love the Spanish language. I find it so sexy and so captivating. I want to learn Spanish one day. I said this so many times in so many of my other videos where I listen to Spanish music. I did like the song and I enjoyed the production, even though I don't know what she's singing about. I just let the production talk to me and flood my ears, and I liked it. Would I listen to this track again? Probably not, but I did enjoy listening to it for the first time. I mean, she's experimenting with all sorts of sounds on this album, Spanish and reggae, so I'm really liking that aspect of the album so far. So now let's move on to track number 8, When I Need You.
When I need you. When I need you. It's cold out, but hold out. Do you like I do it? Hold out my hands and I touch you. When I need you. When I need you.
Already, that was track number 8, When I Need You, and she says in the song Miles and miles of empty space in between us. The telephone can't take the place of your smile. But you know I won't be traveling forever. It's cold out, but hold out and do like I do when I need you. I just close my eyes and I'm with you. She is singing about being on the road. Perhaps she's on tour and she is missing her lover. There is distance between them because she is traveling, but she's saying, I will be with you again. Just hold out and I will be in your arms once again. This was a classic Celine Dion ballad and it fits in with the rest of the album. I don't know if I would listen to this song again. It was nice to listen to for the first time, but it didn't really stand out to me to the point where I feel like I would listen to the song again. So now let's move on to track number 9. And speaking of traveling, the title of the song is called Miles to Go Before I Sleep.
I would walk to the edge of the universe for you. I will always defend with miles to go before I sleep. I would carry the rock of Gibraltar just for you. To the highest mountain, I could never be wrong. Miles to go before I sleep.
Already, that was track number 9, Miles to Go Before I Sleep, and this song was written by Corey Hart, which was really nice. That's one of the highlights of the album for me is the lyrics. I love the songwriters she has on this album. And this was another traditional sounding Celine Dion ballad. Once again, I don't know if I would listen to this song again. I might, but to me, it's not really a go-to song on the album. It might be. Actually, I did kind of like it. I don't know, maybe I have to listen to it a couple more times. She definitely is living up to the title of the album, Let's Talk About Love. She sure is talking about love quite a bit in these songs, just like always. I mean, Celine Dion always sings about love, but she is talking about the hardships and the struggles of being in a relationship, being away from your loved one, where there's distance between the two of you and you want to be in their arms again, and miles to go before I sleep. Every breath I take for love, I could never be wrong. The journey is long with miles to go before I sleep. Every step I take for you, I will always defend. Never pretend, oh baby, that every breath I take for love, I could never be wrong. It does say here that the song is based on the 1923 poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Oh, I love that poem. Honestly, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is one of my favorite poems of all time. The full title is the poem's closing phrase. Okay. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. I should have picked that up. I'm ashamed for myself. I'm a fake Robert Frost fan. I said this was my favorite poem, and I didn't even pick up that this was sampled. I'm disappointed in myself. And I actually forgot to show you guys in the actual video, but it was really bugging me, so I want to show you right now. I actually used the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening in one of my self-published books, A World Divided. It's a 7-book series. This is the second book in the series. And I actually use it right here, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. You know what? It was fate. But anyway, let's move on to track number 10, Us.
I want to know why. Say it doesn't matter. Then tell me what else. Drifting in one time, and it's never true. The hope has vanished from your eyes. Say it's never easy.
Okay, that was track number 10, Us, and I I liked the song actually. Yeah, I did like it. I really like the electric guitar once again, and I think this is a beautiful song. It's a nice power ballad, and I probably would listen to the song again. She says here, the hope has vanished from your eyes. You were my faith and one truth. There's every reason to get through, and you're why I know there's a reason. And when she says, I know there's a reason, this goes back to track number one, The Reason. So that's another theme of the album. When she says, Let's talk about love, the title of the album, she is confronting her lover and she is noticing that the hope is vanishing from their eyes and their relationship isn't what it used to be and they are struggling, but there's a reason that they're together and they're gonna get through it. There's hope and they're gonna stay together. So, just like any other typical relationship or marriage, there are times where you feel like you're not gonna make it, but then you do make through it, sometimes you don't. I am finding it difficult to relate to this album. She is talking about being in a relationship and the struggles of being in a relationship, so I've never really had to endure that before. Of course, I've been in relationships, but not to the extent that Celine has. So I am finding it difficult to put myself in her shoes and relate to what she's saying. But maybe one day, maybe I'll come back to this album 20 years from now and it'll make sense to me. So now let's move on to track number 11, Just a Little Bit of Love. Ooh.
I was alone, I was afraid, I couldn't face another day. Oh, just a little bit of love, come turn it around, let me hold it. Oh, baby, been around, been around. Just a little bit of love,
Okay, that was track number 11, Just a Little Bit of Love. And this was a nice up-tempo dance song from Celine. You don't hear too many dance songs from Celine, at least not up until this album, 1997, Let's Talk About Love. And I liked it. I would go back to it. I suppose it does kind of sound like a filler track in my opinion. The song is kind of like empty calories. It feels good, it sounds good in the moment, but that's about it. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about the song. So let's move on to track number 12. My Heart Will Go On, love theme from Titanic.
Every night in my dreams, the heart does go on. Love can touch us one time, one true time. I hold you near, far, wherever you are.
So, what we just listened to, ladies and gentlemen, is Celine Dion's signature song. When people think of Celine Dion, they think of that Titanic song. Some people say that god awful Celine Dion song, that god awful Titanic song. My heart will go on, but I love this song so much. It takes me back to my childhood and the phenomenon that was Titanic. I remember seeing Titanic in theaters not once, but twice. And I remember family members buying me the soundtrack to Titanic, and my mom had the first soundtrack to Titanic, and then there was a follow up soundtrack and I received that for Christmas. And I remember that the CD had the lyrics to My Heart Will Go On the back of the CD. I think it was the back of the CD. And my cousins and I would read the lyrics out loud. We would sing the song to our parents in the kitchen. Yes, we did do that. I remember watching this movie so many times. I still watch it to this day. I probably watch Titanic at least once a year, and I am curious to know if this album, Let's Talk About Love, would have sold as many as it did if My Heart Will Go On wasn't on the album. My Heart Will Go On is considered to be Celine Dion's signature song, with worldwide sales estimated at 18 million copies, which makes it one of the best-selling singles of all time and became the second best-selling single by a female artist in history. It was also included in the list of songs of the century by the Recording Industry Association of America and the National Endowment for the Arts. Now, the song was composed by James Horner, who is a master when it comes to composing music for movies. He did die tragically in 2015. I do recall listening to the commentary of Titanic when I watched the movie a few years ago, and in that commentary, I recall James Horner saying that James Cameron didn't want a song that had vocals at the end of the movie. And he was really much against it, but James Horner created this song and gave it to James Cameron. And when James Cameron heard it, he instantly wanted it in the movie. It also says that Celine didn't want the song either, and she didn't want to record it. And one of the reasons why she didn't want to record it was because she felt like she was pushing her luck by singing another film theme song, Beauty and the Beast. I mean, you either hate this song or you love this song. It's one of those songs that we've heard so many times throughout our life that the second it comes on, the first second of the song that you hear, you know what song it is. Not to mention, the song was also parodied so many times and made fun of in movies and skits and what have you. I could definitely keep going on and on and on about the song, but I think I'm gonna stop there because we do have 4 more songs to listen to. So let's move on to track number 13, Where Is the Love? But I also want to say quickly, My Heart Will Go On does fit in with the theme of the rest of the album. It doesn't sound out of place. It really does tie in with the other songs as well. So now let's move on to track number 13, Where Is the Love?
All the heavens would call their angels around. Where is the love?
Okay, now it's track number 13, Where Is the Love? And this was a great song. Lyrically, I just loved the story, and it was written by Corey Hart. Once again, just like track number 9, Miles to Go Before I Sleep, I'm loving these songs written by Corey Hart. They're so beautiful and touching. A boy stood on the moon, the ancient souls can still discover 1,000 dreams that we can still believe, that we can still believe. Where is the love that lifts my brother's voice to the skies? A love that answers a mother's cry. Life begins with love, so spread your wings and fly. This was an extremely touching song, and I really enjoyed it. So now let's move on to track number 14, Be the Man on the Night. And it says that this is the English version.
I would fight not to ever fall. Used to be scared. the man that's mine. We'll always be together forever.
Okay, that was track number 14, Be the Man on the Night, the English version. I really liked this song. Just like so many of the other songs on this album, just like so many of Celine Dion's other songs from her other albums, this song is just as beautiful. It was co-written by David Foster, and it was the second single off the album. I'm not afraid to touch you now, long before I know I'd be making love to you. I dreamed that maybe I would one day lose myself in someone someday. Be the man that's mine. This is a very romantic song, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm pushing through these last few songs rather quickly, but the sun is setting, so I'm kind of trying to beat the sun. I do have a ring light, but I hate recording these videos without natural daylight, so I really have to try and beat the sunset right now. I started this video quite late today, so we do have 2 more songs left. Track number 15, I Hate You. I Hate You, Then I Love You. Now, this is a duet with Luciano Pavarotti.
I'd like to run away from you, but if I were to leave you, no matter what you do, you drive me crazy. Impossible to live with you, but I could never live without you. You make me mad, you make me laugh. I hate you, then I love you. Then I love you, then I hate you. Then I love you. Then I love you.
Wow, that was hands down one of my favorite tracks on the album. Who is this? I'm sorry if I mispronounce his name, Luciano Pavarotti. I need to know who he is right now. This is such a classical sounding song. It reminds me of a song you'd hear in, I don't know, The Sound of Music. It just has that timeless, classic sound to it. And it took my breath away. I mean, this man's voice, I wish I had this man's voice. Let's be real. Oh no, he died in 2007 at the age of 71. He was an Italian operatic tenor who, during a late period of his career, crossed over into popular music, eventually becoming one of the most acclaimed and loved tenors of all time. I'm definitely gonna have to check out some of his other songs and performances. I love that man's voice so much. Anyway, we have come to the end of the album. Track number 16, Let's Talk About Love.
Everywhere I go, all the places that I've been, it's talk about love. It's talk about us. Everywhere I go, all the places that I've been. Ooh, let's talk about love. Let's talk about love. Let's talk about love. Let's talk about
Alrighty, and that was the final track of the album, track number 16, Let's Talk About Love. And I don't know, you saw it for yourself, waving my hands in the air, and I really liked this song. I really liked the children's choir in the song as well, and made me a little emotional, just like the end of any Celine Dion album. I've been having this issue where I get emotional at the very end. Not as emotional as some of her other albums, but I definitely got really close and I loved it. And the song was co-written by Bryan Adams, who has some of the most beautiful rock ballads, pop rock ballads of all time. So that is all 16 tracks of Let's Talk About Love by Celine Dion, and I really enjoyed myself. I think this is a really solid Celine Dion album. Do I like it as much as her prior albums? I don't know. I'm struggling now. I don't know how I would rank her albums now. I definitely need to go back and really think about it, but I really did enjoy this album. There are a lot of great songs on here. It's definitely a different energy and feel than her other album, Falling Into You. Falling Into You was very dramatic and theatrical and very, very commercial. This one's commercial as well. I mean, it has My Heart Will Go On in the track list, but there's just a different energy to this album, and I love all the collaborations that she did on this album. Barbara Streisand and the Bee Gees, and Luciano Pavarotti, and Corey Hart co-wrote a couple of the songs, and Carole King. I mean, so many great collaborations on this album. At times, this album is very classy and sophisticated, and other times, some of the songs are very typical sounding Celine Dion. They were kind of taking me back to some of her prior albums, which isn't a bad thing. But overall, I really enjoyed myself. She was also playing around with other genres that she typically doesn't play around with, like reggae, and she had a nice upbeat dance song as well, which was Just a Little Bit of Love, track number 11. I also really loved the songwriting on this album. To me, that's one of the highlights. I loved all the songwriters that she had on this album. But like always, as is tradition in these Celine Dion videos, let's see what the Rolling Stone had to say about this album. And the reason why I do this is because in the beginning, starting with her first English-speaking album, Unison, I saw that Rolling Stone only gave that album 1 out of 5. And then they gave her second album 1 out of 5. And then they gave her third album, The Color of My Love, 1 out of 5. We were making progress with Falling Into You. They gave that album 1.5 out of 5. And they gave this album 1.5 out of 5. Will we ever get to 2 stars with the Rolling Stone when it comes to a Celine Dion album? Who knows? It says here that Let's Talk About Love divided music critics. I mean, do I personally think this is her best album so far? I don't think so. Like I said already, I do have to go back to her prior albums and listen to them again, which I have been doing. I have been listening to her other albums again, just to get a better feel for them, to have maybe a second opinion. I don't know. I don't think it's one of her best, but I don't think it's one of her worst. You can definitely hear the maturity, though, with each album. She definitely is growing and becoming more of a woman, and she is talking more about her relationships and her marriage, I suppose. I imagine she might be singing about her marriage in some of these songs as well. So what did you guys think of the album, and where does this album rank on your Celine Dion ranking list? Does it sit near the top, the bottom? Maybe you hate this album. Tell me why. I liked the first half of the album and the second half. I wasn't the biggest fan of the middle. I liked it. There were a few songs I could do without. Even the middle I did enjoy, but I didn't like it as much as the first half and the second half. But I still liked some songs in the middle. I feel like I could keep talking about this album for the next 10 minutes, but I think I am going to stop there. One reason being that the sun is slowly setting and I'm running out of daylight, so I think I'm going to leave it there. So in my next Celine Dion video, this is perfect timing because we'll be moving on to her Christmas album from 1998 called These Are Special Times. I'm really excited for this Christmas album. I love Christmas music. I have heard a few songs from this album already, but there are still quite a few I haven't heard, so that's gonna be really exciting. So thanks for watching, guys. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, you can message me, you can tell me other artists I should check out. I'm open to any artist from any decade. You can find me on Apple Music, you can check out my playlist, and so on and so forth. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.